Hello, Redwall Online community. Foxpen here, coming at you with another Fanfare episode of foxpenmanship. In this episode of the Fanfare series, we are going to be exploring the fantastic world of fanfiction. Fanfiction is a common point of entrance into the ROC for many in the community, and holds a special place as not only the doorway into writing, but for many throughout the world, it is the first stepping stone before they go on to careers in fiction and non-fiction. Whether Redwall inspired your first attempt at putting ink to paper, or you're a huge fan of the Redwall Survivor contests, there can be no doubt that Redwall has inspired many to try their hand at creative works. Today, I'll be speaking with two budding fanfiction writers, TheGreyCoincidence and CasterWay. Both are members of the ROC and have been fiercely delving into the joys and frustrations that come with translating the imagination into words. Join me on the journey. My first guest today has been a member of the ROC for several years, is a member of the Redwall Survivor community, and the Redwall Readership Restorers Discord. Aspiring writer, aspiring illustrator, and of course long-standing Redwall online community member, TheGreyCoincidence. Hello, Grey. How are you today?
Hello. Pretty good.
It was just telling me that he's surrounded by 14 dogs, so I imagine it can't be too bad.
Well, as good can be.
Well, great. Thanks for coming out to the show. Really appreciate you being here. This is what this episode is all about. It's getting all the members of the community and having everyone tell their story. So we're really excited to have you here. I'm going to ask you right off the bat, I'm going to start with my toughest question in my repertoire. What is your favorite Redwall story?
Okay. Can I cheat and say a fanfic?
You know what? Yeah, I'll let it go. That counts. It counts as Redwall. It's part of the universe.
Okay, then my favorite Redwall story would be Beast in the Crater. Mossflower Odyssey.
Aww.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Redwall books, but I prefer the fanfics. Generally, I guess. I don't know. I mean, the books are they're very good. They're amazing books, very well written, all that. Fantastic. I read them too late into my teens to fully enjoy them, I think. So, I don't know. I generally prefer. And then, I don't know, Beast in the Crater has, like, everything I would like in a story. Has the gore, the action, the gory action, and lots of melodrama and character development. I don't know, it's fantastic. It's amazing. It's really long, but you should read it. I know I've read it at least 7 times now.
That's amazing.
I mean, in terms of Redwall books, I guess my favorite is Redwall, the original, the first one. Redwall. I don't know, I just like Matthias and Clooney, however you pronounce it. It just felt more campy than the rest of them, somehow. I like campy stuff.
That's fair. It is the first one that Jacques ever wrote, and the world itself wasn't quite built yet. So yeah, Redwall does have a kind of almost campy feel to it, especially when you get into the other books, like Mossflower, or Legend of Luke, or like Lord.
And the villains are always campy.
Oh, over the top, of course. You have to be.
Yes.
What was it? Jacques had the saying, goodies are good and baddies are bad. Yeah, certainly that is reflective in his writing. So you prefer fan fiction to the actual Redwall canon. What about it? What about fan fiction that appeals to you more? Is it just you get more creative leeway to go with your own ideas?
It really depends on the fanfic, okay? I mean, I generally prefer the fanfics, but that's also because I spend more time reading the fanfictions, I guess. So I'm maybe a bit biased in that regards. I don't necessarily think the fanfictions are better. I just find more. I generally prefer reading stuff that's in the process of being made rather than something that's finished. And fan fiction is generally, chapter by chapter, all that stuff. It's very nice to see how the story grows and to follow it as it grows, as opposed to reading a book where everything's already decided. before you started reading it. I mean, not a bash against books, of course. I love books.
Oh, of course. That's really interesting. So, what do you do when a fan fiction ends? Do you read it to the end, or do you just say, "Okay, enough is enough. Time to find something new to watch unfold in front of"?
Oh, I read everything to the end, and then I lament that it's over. But luckily, generally, the fanfics I read usually get sequels and stuff. So there's always something to read. And I
That's
mean,
fantastic.
one person stops writing something, another person comes along and starts writing something else. There's lots of fun to be had in reading ongoing stuff.
It is the wheel of production when it comes to fan creation. Sometimes things end before they were meant to, but yeah, you're right. There is always something else to come and take that place. Now, because you did mention just a second ago that you were a little older when you discovered Redwall in your years. What
Yeah.
actually got you into Redwall? A lot of us, we were very young children, but some of us were preteens or early teens. What got you into Redwall?
Fan fiction. So basically, I was, generally, I've been writing fan fiction since before I knew about Redwall. Now, what I used to write for before, I mean, I still do, but less, is Kung Fu Panda, which is, I know, kind of whatever, weird, but
I have two Kung Fu Panda OCs, thank you very much.
okay, goody. Okay, good.
And I was well into my 20s when that cartoon came out.
Well, so yeah, Kung Fu Panda, and yeah, I write for Kung Fu Panda, but generally I don't really write with the main cast. Pandas are great, but I prefer foxes. So I was writing about the fox character in the Kung Fu Panda universe. He's a fox, he does Kung Fu, he's a shapeshifter, it's awesome. But that's not what I'm talking about now. Anyways, he was a fox, and I was in my library, school library, and I was helping sort out the new books that came because I'm a nerd. And lo and behold, there was Marl Fox, and on the cover was a fox.
Yes.
I just really, I liked the drawing, and I took it, I borrowed it, and I started reading it. And then I thought it was really boring at first. No offense to anyone who likes Marl Fox. I like Marl Fox, but it was the first book was kind of a drag because I didn't know what Redwall was, I didn't know who the Abbey was, I didn't know who the Goosim were, the ghosts and the shrews. And there was this squirrel who was half asleep or something like that. I don't know. He looked like he was half asleep. And then I just thought it was a drag. And then wait. One of the Marl foxes was beheaded in a battle, and I thought, wait, what? Because up until then, I was reading the book and I was thinking, this is such a children's book. This is for 5-year-olds. Why am I reading this? And then someone got beheaded, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe not for 5-year-olds. And then the owl died after that.
Oh,
and that kind of just, I don't know. I was edgy back then. I was big into characters dying randomly. So that appealed to me. And then, I read the first novel. Or actually, I think I read Mossflower. I don't know. I read one of the Redwall novels after that. And then, love at first sight, love at first read, second read. But difference. Potato.
The entire time you were talking, I'm literally dancing in my chair because, as everyone who's been on the shows knows, Marl Fox is my favorite book. And I love to affectionately call it the one that doesn't matter. Because it literally has no effect on the Redwall world, and it has no effect on the overall plot universe of Redwall. But like you, I love foxes. Both my Kung Fu Panda OCs are foxes, not gonna lie.
Yes, foxes. No, foxes are just, they're appealing. There's something appealing.
They are, and you know what? In Redwall, the very first book, Fox Row, the campy one, there's this fox book trader that comes to the Abbey and regularly... Yeah, he regularly trades with the Abbey, and that's the only kind of real time we see a fox that isn't explicit evil. And I feel like it's so forgotten about. So, like, foxes have been this forgotten good beast where Sella the Seer and her son Chicken Hound and all his brothers, they're supposed to be the kind of trashy exception, while, most foxes are educated and they're not going to try and, help the horde of rats invade your Abbey. I like foxes. They appeal to me because they're kind of ambiguous. They're great villains, but they don't have to be. They can be great side characters.
They can be tricksters. They fill a lot of roles. They're in the middle category, the middle ground.
I don't consider them a true vermin species. Same thing with Wildcats, because you have Lord Vertigo and Gingiver, and they're not evil. Lord Vertigo's strict, but he's not considered a tyrant. So it's once again, it's like, where's the division of vermin and good beasts? Like, do we need that in these species particularly? That's why foxes appeal to me. I'm so glad to hear someone else read Marl Fox. That's what that was about.
I mean, on reread, because I obviously read it twice, I appreciated Marl Fox more. I have to admit that. I wasn't that big a fan of how many, I don't know, there were a lot of songs, and this was the first time I had read a book that had lots of songs in it. And I mean, some of them were really catchy. I think one that I remember was, I don't know, there was a shrew and he was singing about how if he eats too much, his coat will break and his boots will burst, or something like that. But then there were a bunch of other songs that I really can't for the life of me remember what they were about, or who was singing them, or... Oh, and Craigaro's Eyes.
I remember that poem.
If you eat too much, you'll burst your coat.
Burst your boats and split your coat. Just scoff enough so you'll stay afloat. 'Tis good manners.
Yeah. He was singing about manners, good manners, true manners. Yeah, oh my god, I remember. Okay.
Good times.
I love that song.
I do. One of the reasons I love Marl Fox is because of all the songs and the poetry. I think of all the Redwall books. It may not have the most, but it's definitely the top contender for the most poetry.
Well, you know, how I said that I read a lot of fanfics. One thing I generally think is that fanfiction, generally, one thing Redwall, the original novels, have over fanfiction is music and the riddles and stuff. I mean, usually in a Redwall story, fanfiction, you will have one riddle, two riddles at most. Redwall has, I think, at least 4 per novel. And that's something that's part of Redwall, and I think it's underappreciated and underwritten about in fanfiction.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest parts, specifically with Redwall.
Yeah.
I've had to contend with this myself because the MO, but writing poems and riddles is just...
It's not easy,
exhausting.
I know. How did our Jacques do it?
I don't know, but he was also a sailor, and I think a lot of the time the melodies he carried in his heart, melodies that I couldn't even, I wouldn't be able to identify if I heard them. Definitely his experience gave him that love of tunage, of shanties, if you will. And you know what? It's pretty popular right now, too. If you go on YouTube, lots of sea shanties everywhere. Very Redwall.
Yeah.
Not just there's not just singing and there's poems and everything, but like there's a lot of fan fiction out there that is just building the world in general and adding to it. And the good thing about Redwall fan fiction is it's not always in the medieval setting as the series. So there's so much going on that sometimes you can sneak the songs and the riddles out of there and it still feels like Redwall, but unless you get at least some kind of rhyming prologue, there's always kind of this, it could be more red feeling.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's a quintessential part of Redwall. It makes the novels the novels. I think it is a big part of what makes Redwall special is the fact that there are so many songs and riddles and stuff. I mean, I didn't even, and this is coming from a guy who doesn't particularly like most of the songs and riddles.
It's even in the cartoons, they I'll never forget the theme song, that iconic opening theme song of Redwall with the flute playing. But also in the books, they or in the cartoon, a lot of the songs get skipped over, or alternatively, they're there and you finally have a melody. Did you ever watch the cartoon? Did you ever have an opinion on the music of the cartoon?
I never watched the cartoon. It's mostly I'm very picky with art styles, and the cartoon just it wasn't really for me. I'm sure it was very well made, and I know there was dedication and stuff to it, and Tim Curry as Slagar, everyone knows that, but just not for me really.
Interesting. Are you excited at all?
Oh yeah, I am.
Yeah, I didn't even need to finish that. I was going to ask everyone if he's excited over the new Netflix cartoon.
Who wouldn't be? Even my sister knows about it, and she has not read a single Redwall novel. I mean, I've convinced her to read a few of the fanfics, but not the novel, not the novels.
Well,
but
there's
she
always
knows about the
time.
show. Oh yes, there's time. I will make her do it.
Well, you're certainly a contributing member, aren't you? Speaking of contributions, you recently did some voice work, which we're hearing in the CasterWay segment of the episode. You're reading out his, helping him do a reading of his own fan fiction, which is always fun to see the involvement. But what about yourself? What kind of projects are you working on right now?
Well, the main project, I don't know, I have so many projects I should be working on. I'm just gonna list them off because one of them is a role play that's rather large and extensive, and it's confusing and a bit of a mess, but I love it. Basically, traditional Red Wall, but the enemy, the invading warlord, is a mouse. The abbot of Redwall is a coward and kind of a jerk, and the main protagonist is kind of a weepy crybaby. I don't know. It's different. Another thing I'm working on is a Redwall James Bond parody. I've been working on this for 2 years, and it is taking forever, but it's very fun. I'm so proud of the name, Licensed to Kliss, because the main character is called Kliss.
Noise.
A QQ. It
I
is a
love
story
QQ.
about the Weird who thinks he's an eagle, who gets adopted by a family of mice. I draw him a lot. I draw him all the time.
I absolutely love QQ. QQ for listeners, QQ is a little infamous in the ROC currently. Simply, he was an application for MO5, and that contest unfortunately did get canceled because of COVID. But QQ lives on. He is honestly one of my favorite Redwall characters, and he's not even canon.
Well, that's really flattering. That made my day. I'm still working on the first fanfic I started when I joined the Redwall Fanfiction, Redwall online community thing, which is basically, well, it's hard to summarize. It's Outcast of Redwall, written by me, but then butchered and put together again. It's confusing. It's very long, and I'm only halfway through. And the main character is a ferret called Fret. I'm proud of that name. It's the best name I ever came up with. He is basically in the same position as Bale. He's this son of a warlord adopted by the Abbey. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of, I think, the cliche some Red Wolf fans, Red Wall fanfiction, I can divide into a few categories, I think. You have the people who like traditional Red Wall and write Red Wall fanfiction as if they were writing more Red Wall books. You know, with the obvious black and white morality, the riddles, the songs, and that's fine. And then you have the other side who are pro-vermin, vermin for life. We love vermin.
For life.
And
I'll get a tattoo of that.
we think the vermin got a raw deal and deserve better. And so we write pro-vermin fanfics with sometimes evil woodlanders and sometimes woodlander jerks. Actually, what am I talking about? Always evil woodlanders and woodlander jerks. But then I kind of am doing a more advanced version of that. I don't know. It's ambiguous. So, it's so hard to explain. Sorry for saying so much.
It's okay. It is part of the experience of writing fan fiction. Is sometimes you start and you don't always have a clear idea of where to go or how to do it even, but you just keep writing, don't you?
Oh yeah, I've been doing this. That is the whole thing. That's what I do really. I start the story and I decide, you know what, I should add this to the story, and then I add that, and then I add that, and I add another thing, and then I throw in a third thing, and then I throw in another thing, and then add another few things, and I am at 300,000 words, and no idea how I got there, or where I'm supposed to go from there. And I have a boatload of pirates, and they're doing pirate things, and they're...
That's just the plot of Hamlet.
I don't even know how I got this far. Okay, it's confusing. Basically what I'm writing, the main story, not talking about the other. It's subplot after subplot after subplot after subplot after subplot after subplot. Even the subplots have subplots. So you have on one side of the world you have this hare who is pretending to be a fox. He's dressed up like Slagar, the slave master called Clayface in this world, and he's serving the Wolverine King while also trying to, I don't know, get the slaves and all that out and free into freedom. And then you have these pirates, and there's this one, Many Whispers, the pirate who's a cat, and he's got lots of whiskers, and he's making fake treasure maps, and he's giving them to all the other captains for nefarious purposes. Maybe it's a lot of fun, but I definitely think it's just a lot. There's a lot of it.
That's fair. That's fair. It's an ambitious project to take on any kind of fictional work, especially when you're in the realm of someone else's creation like Redwall. But honestly, Many Whiskers, I love it.
Well, Many Whiskers or Many Whispers, depending on his mood.
Oh, I see. Well, so I mean, you've told us about what you're up to. Now, you've been sharing the bits and pieces of your work with the ROC, whether that's Redwall Survivor or the Redwall Fanfiction Discord. How are you finding the community I mean, you're contributing to the community just by like being here and writing. What is the community doing to help you along the way? How are you finding that?
Oh, I love it. So, like I said, Kung Fu Panda is where I started. I think part of the reason I'm so amateur at writing is because no one read anything I wrote for Kung Fu Panda. And then I started writing for Redwall. Lo and behold, I am the fourth most or fifth most reviewed story on the archive. So that's a big ego booster. And
yeah,
and it's very inspirational. It's a very good place, I think, to be creative. It inspires creativity, really, because Redwall is very simplistic by nature. It's an abbey, and it's being besieged, and it's under attack, and there's a riddle that leads to a sword, and it's very nice, but then you can always add more to it. It's a nice modeling clay for creativity.
Absolutely. And I noticed it does. Absolutely. And I noticed you're not just writing, you're drawing. I don't think I'd seen your artwork before QQ, but I noticed you're drawing and prolifically. And in the short, let's say past year since QQ's inception, you're already getting better at it. Like I see the improvements in your line work and in what kind of details you're going for, how you're being more ambitious. It is a community that not only offers a means of creativity, but it encourages improvement. Would you agree with that?
I 100% agree with that. You said it better than I could. Yeah, improvement. Yeah, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've been around,
20 years.
More than a decade, anyway. Yeah, a long time. And when I started just like every other kid. I just wanted to do something. I didn't know how, I didn't know where, I didn't know etiquette or how to spell or string a sentence together, but I just wanted to do this cool role-playing game that all these cool people were doing. And that's how I got into writing. And then, I want to draw my cool character that really isn't cool. Because all these cool people are drawing their cool characters. And that's how I got into art. It really is... Redwall is something very charming, and the community is very supportive, so it does get you into other places you didn't expect to go.
Oh, yeah.
I actually would like to take a moment to invite you to read an excerpt from your fan fiction that you've been telling us about.
Oh, goody. Okay, let me find it.
All right. Well, whenever you're ready, this is Gray's fan.
Okay, so just to summarize... Just to summarize, this is a weasel has arrived at Salamandastron, the Badger Mountain, and
Salamandastron.
And he tried he had a mental breakdown because he discovered that his brother, who was a rat, is actually a mouse. And then he freaked out and he tried to be a hare, and that failed. But then there are these two authors who liked that, and they're now teaching him how to be a hare. So I think this basically explains how I write, what I do. Hippopoto monstrose esquipedalophobic. Had he been drinking anything, the weasel would have done a spit take. As it was, he settled for stuttering out of "What's in Hellgates?" "That ain't a word." "Oh, but it is," said one otter. "It describes some beast scared of long words," said the other. "Hares use it to describe their enemies," said the third. "Not hippopotamonstrose esquipedalophobic, are you?" he asked. And that's it. It's silly. I mean, I don't really.
Cute. Like, obviously a very comedic
Thank
scene.
you.
Obviously
I
using
don't
words
really
as
write
weapons.
anything serious or.
No, but that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
I don't write anything that can be taken seriously, so just embrace the silliness.
And I mean, that's fair. Anything to get you started. And on that note, what is why write at all? What is the goal for writing fan fictions? What makes you want to sit down and come up with the ideas and go to all the effort of putting them down on paper and then share them with people? What drives you?
It's fun. And I think that's the main thing. It's fun, even when you have the writer's block, or you don't know what you want to write, or you have too many plot lines to deal with. It's just fun to create something and then look back on it and read it and think, "Oh my god, why did I write that?" It is. I've been doing it since before Redwall, and Redwall is just, I think, the best place to do it. So I'm not going to stop doing it.
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, there's something about it. It is fun. It's absolutely fun to do these, and like fanfics, any kind of, but especially Redwall. There's something about it. I've been here forever, and I'm not about to leave. There's still so much that he has to offer. Still so much that the Chronicles of Redwall will can give you. And I mean, it's changed my life. I certainly hope it's affected yours for the better. At least, at the very least, one thing you can get out of the community is a place to share your creativity. I'm certainly glad you're sharing with us. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the magic that is QQ in my life.
Thank you. Well, it's fun to share. What can I say? It is. It's nice. I like it.
There's something special about it. It makes you feel good, like home.
Yes.
Now, is there any online gallery that you have that you'd like me to link to that you want to tell anyone about?
Oh, yeah, I have an old divine art thing. Generally, I post my art onto Discord, and then I don't really bother putting it anywhere else because, like, I've already gotten anything I could have wanted from posting it onto the various Redwall Discords and stuff that I'm on. That there's very little point in me otherwise putting it somewhere else. So I only generally put it somewhere else for safekeeping.
That's really nice, actually. You get everything you need from the Redwall community. That's fantastic. So you know what, folks? If you want to see QQ, if you want to see some of Gray's work, and you really should, because this stuff is fun and it is. I'm gonna post a link to the Discord. We do have an art channel. Hop on by, say hello to us. Come say hi to me, Foxpen. Come say hi to Gray.
I'd invite.
Give us a shout. And Gray.
My dogs do though.
Is there anything? All 14 of them. Is there anything you wanna say before we say goodbye?
Thank you for having me. It was fun to do this. I don't generally. I stutter a lot. I don't generally talk so much to my computer.
Well, thank you so much for for coming here. It was really wonderful to have you. Honestly, you're one of the most endearing members of the ROC community, and we're absolutely richer just for having you here to grace our presence. Your fanfic is entertaining. Your art is always a joy to look at. Thank you so much, Gray. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And we're going to say goodbye to Gray right now. So goodbye, Gray. Once again, thank you. And we're going to move on with the episode. We have some more wonderful interviews to take care of. So I'm going to welcome my next guest. They're an active member on the ROC, a fan fiction writer and content creator, CasterWay. Caster, welcome.
Hi.
And yeah, thanks. Hi. Thank you for your enthusiasm and thank you for being here. This is absolutely fantastic to have a fresh guest.
Yeah. I'm proud to be here. I've been in the Redwall fandom for less than 2 years. It's actually, I joined in 2019.
Yeah, hasn't
it
been
kind
a
of
long
surprises
time.
me to meet new people and do new stuff. The Redwall fandom is full of really, really friendly people, and I suppose I'm proud to be one of them now.
It's a charming experience. It really is. And we're happy to have you. First off, traditional question to get the ball rolling. What is your favorite Redwall book?
So my favorite book is Mossflower.
Epic. Everybody loves Mossflower.
Yeah, it's a classic.
It is. What
Yeah.
got you into Redwall, and how'd you find your first dabble into the experience?
So I found it all began when I found a mouse card comic in the library.
Oh, the
I
mouse
did
card.
s-
Nice.
I did some research online and found on the on the mouse card link for Wikipedia in the see also section there were two links and one of them was Redwall. And I clicked into it. I found that okay, so Brian author wrote 22 books, a quite long series, and with cute wooden animals killing each other with swords. And I paid it no mind until 1 year later. I saw the first Redwall book in the library. Another library. It's another library.
Love it.
And I read it. I was pretty charmed, and then I browsed the library website and checked out and found the locations of all the Redwood books in the city.
Nice.
In the city, which were there were actually quite a lot of them.
Yeah, so you hit the jackpot, really.
Well, I mean, for a given definition of jackpot, really, the latest book that we could find was Highway Lane, which was released in quite late, actually.
Yeah, I think that was one of his last ones that he published
I didn't
when he was
read
alive.
Rackety Tam. I didn't read Rackety Tam, Doom White, Sable Queen, and Rogue Crew. And I remember there's another book right there. Let me go see.
So was Hyrule Lane was your first one?
Well, no, Redwall was the first one.
Oh, Redwall was the first one. That's good.
And then I moved on to Mariel and Bellmaker, the Mariel Bellmaker duology.
Right.
Yeah, that was fun. Then I went back to Mossflower, which took me a while to understand. Which took me around 5 minutes to realize that this was a prequel.
Oh yeah, because the chronology is a little messy.
Yeah. Jakes didn't really pay attention to world building. But
No, not at first. So much changed from the original, like when he wrote Redwall and Madame Mayo before, and then if you go back and read all the ones that chronologically happened before, yeah, it seems a little something's up here.
So yeah, then I chased down the other books and I found that my school library has quite the Redwall collection up to Tigerung. I mean, nobody reads them because Redwall is virtually unheard of in an Asian secondary school. Yeah, and I'm basically the only known Redwall fan in Hong Kong.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is a very European thing, I suppose. Just I mean, it
Yeah.
is based on medieval English culture.
Yeah, and I read the Long Patrol really stuck out
It's
at
one
the
of the good
time
ones.
because I kept reading it in class and I didn't get caught.
Nice.
And yeah, the Long Patrol was one of the best actually. Mild Fox, I don't think I read it that much.
Nobody ever likes Marl. Just
I mean,
Foxman.
one of Gray does in another member of the ROC, but I'll leave it to I'll leave it to his segment if it comes. He got hooked by the Mild Fox cover, but whatever.
Yeah, it's my favorite too. It's very unimportant to the world, but it's very dear to me.
hmm And the Tagarung was also quite well written.
Oh, you like the Tagarung? The Tagarung is one of my lesser favorites because it kind of marks the downfall.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't because like Jake's kind of had a stroke between Tagarung and Triss,
That is a good point.
and I don't think he truly recovered from that.
It happens too. Authors sometimes go stagnant. He did eventually recover. Like I mean, Hyrule Lane was a good breath of fresh air. And
Okay, Raki's Time was good, Hyrule Lane was good, Sable Queen was good. The others are a bit forgettable.
fair. But it seems like you've caught up anyway for being a fan for such a short while, and that's great.
Yeah, and then I decided to write my first fanfiction, and it ended up horrendously. Ugh.
Well, don't worry. I am one of the older members currently in the ROC. I have seen people start fan fiction without knowing how to string a sentence together. And I mean, then they grow up and they become professional writers. So like, it's a matter of practice. I was here during the heyday of the ROC, and I mean, so are many of my guests because I know them. But it's good to hear that you, a new member, well, not newish. I mean, 2 years, that's pretty good. But you're still the struggle is still going on. I see the circle being completed.
Yeah. I'm just working on my stuff and churning out updates slowly but surely, and hoping that my fic gets a bit of attention. But in the meantime, I'll wait patiently. Can't do much else.
Yeah, I really. Before the show, you shared with me an essay detailing how you came to the ROC and some of why you decided to not only stick around but share your creativity with us. I'd like to present Caster's essay to our audience, detailing his first experience writing fan fiction, because I think it's very important that not only just new members but old members, but mostly new members. I think it's really important now that they know the ROC is a community that not only wants to openly encourage creativity, but will be an outlet. It'll be there for you. It'll have some place for you to go, hey, look what I've done. And if it's not just a safe place, we're going to give you constructive criticism. We're going to give you all the encouragement you need to be creative. So I think his essay is actually very important. And so I'd like to share it with everyone. Before we do the essay, is there anything you'd like to say about it real quick?
I suppose I could read it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead if you're all set.
I joined the Red Wall fandom 2 years ago by starting my first fanfic, the name of which I refuse to mention. Some people liked it, some people didn't, and I can safely share that I'm in the latter camp. Now, what went wrong? Well, for starters, I had no idea about narrative structure at the time. I didn't do any sort of research, I just rushed into it without thinking about what I was gonna do. It sounded like a good idea at the time, to be honest. It wasn't, but it sounded like it. In any case, I didn't really know how to pace my story at all. Pacing. That's important. I did not know that was important. But yeah, only bad things could happen from there. My prologues included about a dozen important characters meeting together, which is a big no-no because prologues are used to introduce one or two characters to make them stand out from the rest. Not a good idea, past me. And
You try.
the story, yeah. So it was only natural that the story started to collapse under its own weight almost immediately, and I didn't put a climax in. Yeah, the story didn't have a climax. Goodness. So, admittedly, I didn't really have a vision to begin with. I sort of made things up as the story went along. Then I realized that the story wasn't long enough, so I started putting subplots out of thin air, and I made it too long, and the fanfic ended up like a garden teeming with weeds that I was too lazy to remove. And I sort of saw how everything ended, crashing and burning. But I learned from my mistake after it, crashed and burned. But I somehow managed to make things worse the second try. So I decided to reboot the entire thing, write it all again, remake everything, rename a few characters, remove a few concepts and subplots. Then I realized I made the pacing too fast, so I made the pacing too slow instead. So basically, nothing was happening for 13 chapters, and I realized that, and I was just, oh no, not again. And I tied it off at an appropriate point, framed it as a prologue to a sequel, and which is the one I'm currently writing on. Third time lucky, maybe. But I wasn't surprised that what I wrote wasn't to my standards, because I didn't have beginner's luck. I was surprised that the Red Wall fandom actually managed to like my stuff. They were quite encouraging, and they didn't really point out the mistakes until the mistakes got so obvious that you can see them from Mars. and then I just kept writing and writing and writing, hoping for a good review or quite a few views from my friends who are basically on every corner of the globe, actually. So to summarize, I've never regretted starting to write fanfiction in the first place.
Excellent.
I tried to run before I could walk, and it didn't work out well, but now I know how to walk, so I'm gonna have a good time running. I'm very, very proud to be a part of the fandom that refuses to die, and now with the Netflix announcement, only good things could happen, I suppose.
That is absolutely fantastic and 100% relatable. Bursting into the fandom with such boundless enthusiasm, you barely have time to look around and even look at what you're doing. It reminds me exactly of when I came into the ROC and just started back on the roleplay forums doing the post for post roleplay games that we used to do. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I was doing it and no one could stop me. And then, like you said, you try again and you learn from your mistakes, but then you make more mistakes.
Yeah.
So you just keep going at it.
So the writing journey is simply that if you think what you're writing is perfect, you're not a good writer. But if you think what you write is awful, basically pathetic, you are also not a good writer, because you can either fail to see the good of what you write, what you've written well, or you could either fail to see what you've written poorly, and both of them are not exactly good things.
Yeah, you have to be careful because you are your own worst critic, but unless you learn how to, learn from your mistakes, you're not going to improve. But, that's what practice is for, and that's what getting constructive criticism is for, and a good community like the ROC where you're able to present your works is the fantastic place to nurture that. That's a fantastic story. I love hearing experiences like that. It just reminds me of my early years, way back when.
Yeah, then so when I was about a month in from writing fanfiction, I made a Red Wall Fanfiction Discord server with a total of 4 members. Fun. Then, and in December 2019, I got into the Redwall Survivor Discord server, which is like the only other Redwall fanfiction server at the time.
Yeah, we are few and far between these days.
Yeah, and then made a bunch of made more friends. Of course, it's a very vibrant community. I tried to get into Mossfire Odyssey 5. It didn't end up well, but hey, that was me about 14 months ago. I basically haven't realized my potential yet.
Don't worry about not getting into that contest. I've been in Mossfire Odyssey 1, 2, and 4. I did not get into Mossfire Odyssey 5.
Yeah.
You gotta keep plugging. Sometimes you luck out, sometimes your skills shine, sometimes you're just sad.
Yeah, I would actually quite like to participate in one Red Wall contest before. Yeah, it's on my bucket list.
Hey, there's gonna be more contests in the future, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It's already on the wind, and you gotta keep trying. You gotta keep giving it a go.
When I'm good enough, I might be able to host a contest, but for now it's out of my area of expertise.
That would be fantastic. It would be nice to have new contest runners. Pretty much Redwall Survivor is the only game going these days, but hopefully with the Netflix announcement, the community will take off a little bit and we'll see some more support.
Yeah, in Odyssey 5, there were a total of 80-something applications, which surprised everyone because if you divide 80 by 3, you get 20-something, more than 25, fewer than 30. So there should be an average of at least 25 writers who are applying to the contest, which is actually quite a lot.
That is an impressive number.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about writing fiction, I want to talk about the fan fiction that you've been currently working on. Been a little secretive with it. If you want to give us maybe a brief summary, some hints, but don't spoil anything. Caster has been kind enough to actually give us a reading, so we're gonna get a little preview of the show. But is there anything you want to tell us about it?
So yeah, I'm working on 2 fanfics actually. So my main fanfic I probably won't talk about now, but because all the focus is on my side fanfic. So every year in my Discord server, I make a few birthday presents for people, usually in parody form. So I find ways to parody. So last year I did basically a parody segment about just lampooning every single fanfiction I could get my hands on, including my own, of course. Yeah. So, and it was quite well received.
Excellent.
Most people liked it. Well, I mean, everyone told me they liked it, but I don't know how much they liked it. Humor gets stale quickly.
Humor's hard.
And so this year, I decided to make a Redwall MMORPG parody.
Beautiful.
And so this time we follow the adventures of four players in the game. Set in Mossflower and home to all the MMORPG tropes people like to lampoon. so like subscription fees and a lots of side quests that nobody does.
Side quests are epic though. I only ever do the side quests. Oh.
Yeah, so basically we get 4 characters, 4 protagonists or whatever. So they're basically the 4 MMORPG archetypes. Player archetype, I mean, not character archetypes.
Yeah.
So the well-meaning naive guy who tries to do everything perfectly, tries to complete every side quest and tries to make friends, but usually doesn't work out. The irascible guy who just tries his best to make enemies because that amuses them.
Yep.
The perfectionist who tries to max out everything, complete every side quest, unlock every character, complete every mission, and get every weapon, etc., etc.
100%.
And there's also the normal guy, but because the normal guy isn't that funny, I just gave him a little quirk of not speaking English.
Oh, the Everman, but with a twist. Yes, I have listened. I've read the scene, and I do like it. I like the little mix of characters you have going on, the different archetypes.
Yeah. So I mean, the last of them, I based my characters on fake characters. The last of them based on my own, because as a speaker of English as a second language, writing fanfiction in English was harder than I thought. So my character's inability to speak English actually mirrors my inability to write in English properly a bit. It's sort of a mirror.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard. It is hard, and I mean, knowing that too, that English is your second language, and all your fiction that I've read has been presented in English. You're doing great, man. I gotta say, like I can see improvements visibly in your writing from the scene to scenes that you've shown me. So I'm gonna share the scene right now, if that's all right with you.
Right.
All right.
Good job, guys. We did it.
Mann, das hat Spaß gemacht. Obwohl in diesen Dungeon schon einmal erledigt habe.
No thanks to you, idiot.
GG, thanks. See ya.
Wait, wanna join our team?
No. You're a garbage tank. And you're a filthy woodlander.
I'm actually leveling up a side character anyway, so I could teach you two newbies how to play.
We don't really do the main story in a group. You know that, right?
But think of all the jokes you can make at our expense.
I do love being a massive jerk. Alright, I guess I'll tag along and try and do the story in sync with you. Still not a thing, but whatever.
So it's amazing.
Right.
Your accents, they're fantastic. First of all, I mean, it must be nothing to you, but to me, I'm so impressed that you're bilingual. So it's blowing my mind. It is fantastic. It's a lot of fun. The flow is great. There's a comedic element. I know it's just a very short scene, but I can already sense it's gonna get wacky. And
Yeah, I mean, one of the voice actors, the one acting as Fred,
yeah,
he messaged me that he died of cringe making that.
it sounds like
He
fun,
just
though.
snuck into his brother's room. He snuck into his brother's room and recorded it, and and nobody was listening. Thank goodness. So 4 characters. So one of them was Fred. The other one was Jared, who just had to record 2 lines. He recorded 2 lines, so yeah, it's not really that much of a problem. Had to do 2 characters at once, and one of them doesn't speak English, so that's a plus. People could tell between them.
It's impressive. I like to do the top 30 application readings for the Mossflower Odyssey contest. That's how this channel got started. I could feel your pain. I mean, I do them all in one language. No one's given me bilingual applications. But even just switching from the narrative voice to someone like Minerva, who's all gentle and somewhat sinister underneath. And then you have Captain Roonhooten, and it's a completely different character. And you're going back and forth from this strong, proud, noble owl to the narrative voice, where you have to just be normal and talk to the people and tell them what's going on in the scene. So kudos to you for pulling that off, and to your friends for helping you out. It's a really nice sense of community, too, that you had help with that.
And as for my one of my classmates is also a fanfic writer. Was also a fanfic writer.
Do they still read?
And well, he isn't in the Red Wall fandom. He wrote fanfiction for Pokemon.
Oh, I love Pokemon. He's still cool. It's okay.
Yeah, and he wrote a fanfiction of 5 chapters. And every now and then there's a review telling him to please continue the story. I want to read more.
Aw, that's great.
And he says he basically is a bit embarrassed. But what matters is this: he gets about 800 views per week, and my newest fanfiction has about 80 views in total.
But that'll grow.
Red Wall's a really, really small fandom. But yeah, things will change soon.
Yeah, do you think the Netflix production will help with that?
Yeah, of course. It will attract new fans and re-attract old fans.
And what do you hope to see happen in the ROC? Do you want to see any new kind of format? Is there any kind of new contest? Who doesn't want a new contest? Do you want to see
New
return to
contests,
role play?
new fanfics, fan arts, role plays, everything actually.
It's fair content. We need more content, and it's all fan driven at this point. So it would be nice to see the ROC get back into that. I mean, aside from the fanfic that you shared with us, I see you've been posting stuff in the Red Wall Fanfic Discord. You're dropping lineage charts and world maps and all sorts of tantalizing goodies. So I know there's keen interest.
Yeah, I'm quite obsessed with what I'm writing, actually.
That's fantastic.
Basically, just Redwall mixed with a bit of some political intrigue, card magic. What's not to love?
Yeah, exactly. Redwall's one of those enchanting tales where the world is built for you, but there's so many gaps that you can build so much on top of that. And the ROC is
Yeah.
a really great place. It's a good outlet to kind of turn your creative mind loose upon it.
Yeah. I just love writing fanfiction. I should probably wait until I get an idea of what I'm writing before I plug what I write. But yeah, you can check it out on the Red Wall Fanfiction archive.
Fantastic. You have an online a gallery on the archive at all? Is there a link that you want me to share?
You just go to the Red Wall, just go to fanfiction.net and search up Red Wall Fanfictions. I think you'll see my name pop up there quite a lot because I'm one of the
Fantastic.
more active posters.
Excellent. And to those looking at the YouTube video, I'll just post a quick link over the vid.
Yeah, just please don't read my old stuff.
Oh, the familiar, relatable call. Please don't look at the old stuff. Leave it in the dusty box. You must not read from the book. That is fair. Well, is there anything particular that you'd like to talk about regarding the ROC? Is there anything that it has given to you, like some skills that you've been able to transfer into real life that you'd like to acknowledge at all?
Well, writing fanfiction made me writing, reading, and reviewing fanfiction, and being in the Redwall online community as a whole made me a more confident person.
That's fantastic.
That just made me realize that people actually like what I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a wonderful feeling.
It is. It's intoxicating almost, the sense of community and acknowledgement too. Just like, even if you know you're not good, there's always going to be someone out there in the ROC to look and to say, hey, I saw your work, good job.
Yeah.
That's great. You don't find that very anywhere else, really, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, just because, I mean, how many languages in total do you speak?
I mean, I tried learning more, but I think I could manage 2-3 tops.
That's fantastic. Blows my mind. I'm supposed to know English and French, and I can barely ask where the police station is in French. It's pathetic. But do you find your English improving at all since you've joined the ROC?
Yeah, because my first language is Cantonese, and Cantonese, like all Semitic languages, does not have tenses, and so basically, I just have to balance. Okay, so present perfect, past perfect, and then subjunctive stuff just shows up, and I found that having a proofreader was pretty good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a good idea to get a beta reader, and that's a lesson a lot of people sometimes take some time to learn. But that you can already do that, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's brave. You gotta be brave to show your work, the rough drafts especially, to other people.
Yeah. And then I realized that a proofreader isn't enough to, just check for grammar mistakes. I need someone to watch my plot as well, because I'm just prone to just pulling subplot out of thin air, making the story structure weaker and weaker. So I've got a few beta readers, the latest of which is the wonderful Iron.
Fantastic.
Who you may or may not have known.
I have indeed met Iron a few times. Familiar viewers of Fox Penmanship will remember him from several past episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fantastic community, and it's one of those things where if you keep at it, you're gonna get better and better too. And that doesn't go for just like the new folks. There's some old folks out there, myself included. The reason I compete in the MO contest is just because I want to get better at writing. That's all there is to it. I want to have some fun, and I want to improve my skills at the same time. And only here can you get that.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to improve myself. Improvement is a thing that I should probably obtain more and more. But you'll just get more confident in your own abilities, and at the time you can you could just transfer teach what you know to other people in the ROC, maybe newcomers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
I find that I'm a much better storyteller than I'm a writer, and I'm not that good of a storyteller.
It's a skill.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mhm.
it's one of the, I don't know. It's one of those things where you come in, you see the ROC, and you want to do it. Like you, I too burst onto the scene, and I just haven't stopped marching forward.
Yeah, just go on and on and on until you find that it's a good place to stop. And reading other people's fanfictions gave me also an experience. So there's this one guy who loves writing humor, and there's this one guy who just lavishes. There's this one author who loves just writing descriptions after descriptions after descriptions, while the plot just gets neglected. There's more,
different styles, yeah, different styles,
there's
different
more than
methodology.
more than one author even, but yeah, just I mean, and I'm a beta reader for two different people with two distinctly different styles. So yeah, it's always good to look out for these.
Yeah.
Just experience the whole breadth of writing styles, depth and breadth of writing styles the Redwall online community has to offer.
Yeah, there's another something that's very unique about the ROC is there's so many different people coming together, not only willing to help you, but just willing to show off their stuff, and that alone is such a great experience to look at other amateurs to professionals in some cases and be able to learn from so many different people from so many different places. It's fantastic to hear that, and part of me has almost forgotten that because I've been around for so long that I expect greatness.
Yeah. You just when you wake up in the morning and just reload the Redwall fanfiction page to see if someone wrote something new, and if someone did actually write something new, it's always a wonderful feeling.
It is. It's fantastic. It's something unique, something that a strange passion that has kept me going for many years at this point, and every time I look at it, I find it renewed.
Yeah.
It is magical. It really is.
So yeah, working on my fanfiction gave me a few new skills that have helped me make a few new friends. I do hope there's more readers, but I understand that what I write doesn't actually intrigue the usual Redwall fans, which is perfectly normal. I'm one of the more niche writers.
And that's okay. Gosh, it's one of those inclusive communities. So like,
yeah, the Redwall fandom is a very, very chill place, so to speak. And yeah, I'm glad to be one of the more prominent members of the fandom.
Yeah, we're lucky to have you because the ROC is always enriched more by not only creative minds and keen fans, but those who contribute and are brave enough to show off their work and say, "Hey, look at this. What do you think?" We're happy to have you away, and I'm particularly happy to have you on my show. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's an honor. It's an honor.
It really is nice to have you here, and I'm glad that we could talk, and I'm glad that we could introduce some of your work.
Yeah. So yeah. Maybe next time I'll just feature talking about more of my main fic or stuff that I encountered while reading and reviewing. But I think now it's a pretty good place to sign off. So yeah,
well,
thanks.
I'm glad that you want to come back. Thanks for coming out. I will be probably asking you back, of course, unless anything comes up and I don't know, the world ends. We do seem to be on that trajectory. But I'm going to sign off now, Caster. I'll let you go. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, and thank you for inviting me in the first place.
Not a problem.
Well, thank you so much to TheGreyCoincidence and CasterWay for lending me their time to talk about Redwall and fan fiction. It was an absolute blast and a joy to hear from Redwall fans so far away from myself in this big old world. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, the fan fiction episode of the Fox Penmanship Fanfare series, please give us a little old like, and if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel as we've got some wonderful episodes coming up. In fact, I dare say the next episode in the Fanfare series is going to be absolutely cookin'. That's right, a food episode. I've got a whole menu planned out, so stay tuned in the coming weeks and celebrate spring and mossflower with old Foxpen. See you next time. Stay safe and cheers.